Hey everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Joel Strickland, and there's a lot of firsts in our lives that we remember with such fondness. First duck hunt that we went on, our first deer hunt, our first deer that we shot, the first time we shot a pintail, the first time we get a banded duck. Those are great memories. But I'm going to share with you today the very first time I ever hunt with a spinning wings decoy in the 90s. This was at the very beginning of it all. I've got footage, and it's coming up right here today on Surviving Duck Season.
Surviving Duck Season, offering you the best waterfowl content. Subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell, and don't miss any of our great content. Presented by Mojo Outdoors.
Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in the archives. I'm talking way back in the archives to 1997 and show you a hunt that I videoed it. It was actually the very first day I ever hunted with a spinning wing decoy. Now this was at a time when hardly anybody was using them. I was the first guy that I knew that was hunting with spinning wing decoys, and this is the first day we did it. So in 1997, I had been working in television production for over 10 years, and I'd been working in the outdoors industry for several years at that point. I had been going to the SHOT Show for, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years. And the SHOT Show is an outdoor trade show for professionals in the outdoors industry. It's where companies show off their products so that retailers, people that have stores, can go there, look at the new products, and then be able to purchase them to sell to consumers in their stores. So I was walking down the aisle this one particular day at the SHOT Show, and I looked all the way to the other end of the aisle, and it's a long way down through there, probably 100 plus yards, and it instantly caught my eye. It was a decoy with wings that came out of it, and they spin. The spinning wing decoy. I walked up to the booth and I was just dumbfounded by the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen. And the guy said, "You're a duck hunter, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yes." He says, "This is what you need." And I said, "What is it?" And he went on to explain, how it works and all that, and I said, "Where are you from?" He says, "California." And I remember what I told him, eating my words much later. I said, "Sir, those may work for your California ducks, but they'll never work in Arkansas." And so the very next year, almost the exact same thing happened, except this time the guy had a big television monitor and he had video of ducks, cupped up coming down. And, I work in television. I know what you can do to make things look like something that's really not necessarily happening. And so as I'm watching this video, I'm thinking, yeah, this guy is just using footage of ducks coming into something and then, trying to sell his product. So I really didn't have any belief that that's what was going on, that the ducks were really coming into this contraption. That was probably in, I think maybe at the beginning of February when the SHOT Show was that particular year. And so later that year, several months later in duck season, I think it was right after Thanksgiving, we were out duck hunting, and we'd had kind of a slow opening, week for duck season. We'd shot some ducks, but it wasn't, overly good. But I had a friend that had come over. We were going to shoot some video of duck hunting that day, and, like I said, it hadn't been that good. He came in the middle of the day and said, "Hey, let's go duck hunting this afternoon." I'm like, "Well, we can try. We didn't do very good this morning, but let's give it a shot." So there was 3 of us. I had a camera, and I thought, well, I'll just shoot video of those guys hunting. So we started pulling stuff out of the truck to get ready to go out into the field. My buddy brought out 2 of these spinning wing decoys. And as soon as I saw them, I instantly knew what they were. And I said, "Oh, come on. Are you serious?" And he's like, "What, have you seen them?" I'm like, "Yeah, I saw him at the SHOT Show last year, and man, what in the world did you get him?" He said, "Well, I saw a guy and he was telling me about him, and and so I bought some." What's it going to hurt? I mean, we hadn't really killed very many ducks, so it's not like we're going to mess up the hunt today. So we took them out, stuck them out in the rice field as we were putting out decoys, and I was back on the levee, and this particular spot we weren't even in a blind. We just kind of had a little makeshift lean-to, kind of deal with fast grass or something on the levee. And I was on the levee kind of getting my camera gear ready as my buddy was, finishing out the last couple of decoys. And as he was heading back to where our little blind was, I just heard this, and you know what that sound is. I mean, it's ducks' wings cutting air from the stratosphere, and I'm like looking around. And now keep in mind, it's like 60 something degrees. There's not a breath of wind. It's a bluebird day, and and I'm looking up in the sky trying to find these ducks, and but I'm hearing them, but I don't see them. And so I'm like really frantically trying to get the camera ready. I'm telling my buddy, hey, hurry, get back here. I said, there's some ducks coming. He says, where? I was like, I don't know. And so anyways, about that time I finally see them, and they're like dots, like way up in the stratosphere, and they are coming straight down with wings like nearly touching as they're coming down. And I'm like, what the heck? And so the guys got back in the blind. We got all ready to go, and about that time, those ducks started backflapping over the top of the spinners out there, and I mean, we were like all just kind of like in disbelief. I mean, the guys didn't even have their guns loaded, and the birds got away. I mean, I think I got a second of footage, and then I was like, what just happened? And I'm thinking I really, really didn't think that it was necessarily because of those decoys. I think, well, those guys were out there running around the decoys, and they ducks for a long way see that movement. That's what it's got to be. And it wasn't 3 minutes later, and exactly the same thing happened again. And this time we were getting it on video. And I'm like looking for them, and I finally see those dots and trying to find them in the viewfinder. I mean, I've got a great big broadcast camera, and so I'm just like, looking up, trying to find them. So I find these birds, and we're like, can't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh, look at that. I mean, you could hear our voices when we're talking in the video. Look at them. Are y'all seeing this? Those two are about to land.
Oh my gosh. You don't let them hit the water? Huh?
Yeah, let them hit.
I think they're going to do it. Did you see those ducks fall in here?
I'm telling you. What was so crazy was after about the second round of birds coming in, we knew why they came in. I mean, there was absolutely no doubt that they were coming in because of those spinners. And I told the guys, I said, guys, this is the kind of video that I saw when I was at the SHOT Show this past year, and I didn't think that it was real. I thought them guys were using footage of ducks coming in on a refuge, or, who knows how they got it. And it worked. You didn't have to blow your duck call. You could be up there doing jumping jacks on the levee, and them suckers were coming. They were coming.
Yeah, I'm on them.
Up until that point in my life, I had been duck hunting for probably, 15 years at that point, and I had never seen ducks work like that ever in my life. I mean, it was literally like unbelievable. And so many people use the word unbelievable. I mean, it's one of the most overused words, especially on hunting videos. People say, oh, this was unbelievable. Literally, I was like dumbfounded as I was watching these birds do this over and over again. It literally was unbelievable to me at that point in my hunting career. And I turned over at my buddy, kind of halfway through, and I said, we can't tell anybody about this. I mean, this is going to completely change duck hunting. And I knew it at that moment, on the very first time I ever duck hunted with those things, that this was going to change things. And it did. I'm on them. Kill them. I was going to say, you better not miss them.
This is crazy. This is the craziest crap.
This happened over and over again for 20 or 30 minutes. I mean, like I said, there was the two of them and me. I'm running the camera, and it wasn't long before they had their limit. I mean, they got their mallards, and I think we got a couple, 2 or 3 widgeons maybe, and then they're limited out. And so it's like, you ever run a camera before? And so my buddy had really never run a camera. I'm like, well, here's how you do this, and here's how you focus, and here's the zoom, and here I'm gonna shoot a few ducks too. And so I passed the camera over to my buddy, and it's a little shaky, but he did do a decent job. I still can't believe this. Are you on them?
I got him.
Sweet.
It's just crazy.
Like I said, that was in 1997, and it was the next year that we basically called it the year of the spinner. Everybody it started catching on. Lots of people started hearing about it. They were carrying those decoys at Max, and that's where my buddy had picked it up, Max in Stuttgart. And it didn't take but a few people buying those things and having success, and then all of a sudden the word's out. And it was such a crazy phenomenon. I mean, if you wanted to buy one, you couldn't get one. I mean, you would be on the waiting list like 100 deep, and there were guys like making them out of their garage and out of their barns and shops and stuff all over the place. They were getting like remote control, cars, and getting the motors out of them and using them for spinners, and getting an arrow shaft and using it for the deal, or a dowel rod, and making wings out of, some kind of metal, or cutting it out of plastic thing. There was all kinds of ways people had to have one of these things, and it was a crazy thing. And so for like probably 2 years, anybody that put one of those things out was killing limits of ducks. I mean, I'm talking about places that you would never shoot a duck, guys that you knew of, well, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, everybody was shooting ducks. I mean, we made the joke, and I mean, it's like, well, you could take one of them things and put it in the Walmart parking lot in Stuttgart and kill lemon and mallards. I mean, it seemed like it was that easy. But it only lasted a couple of years as a magic bullet, like we call it. And then it started becoming harder. It's just, the ducks got conditioned to it. They figured the deal out. Once they went through a whole season or two of, following all the way from Canada to Arkansas, they'd done seen it a bunch of times, and it wasn't working so well. So probably by, I would say maybe the year 2000, 2001, we were already using like 4 and 5 of these spinner decoys in our spread, to have the same results that one did the first time we used it. Now we're back to 2019. We're getting ready to start, duck season here for the 2019-2020 season. And it's been over 20 years since the first spinner ducks have come out. I'm interested in knowing, some feedback from you, the viewers, to know what it is that you think about spinning wing decoys. I mean, do you still use Mojos? Do you use them often? Where are you using them? Are you hunting up north? Are you hunting in the south? I want to get some feedback, because I have some thoughts that I'm going to share with you on a video coming up, and I'd like to be able to use some feedback from you on the video that I'm working on, because I still use Mojos nearly every day of duck season, and we have success with them most of the time. It's not a magic bullet. I'm not going to tell you, stick it in the ground and you're going to kill limited ducks. It's a tool, just like anything else we use in hunting. A duck call doesn't work every single time you blow it, just like a Mojo doesn't work just because you stick it out in front of you in your decoys. But if you use them properly, you can have a lot of success with them, and probably more success than you think you can. So give me some feedback, and I'm going to put together another video, and I'd love to share with you some of my tips on how I have great success using Mojos. Anyway, put those in the comments below. Let me know what your experience is and what your thoughts are on it. And I'd love to share with you some of mine coming up. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And make sure, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Until next time, I'm Joel Strickland. God bless and good hunting.
Surviving Duck Season, presented by Mojo Outdoors. Also brought to you by High and Dry and RoveItRacks.com.